Hey peeps, I'm here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we get to continue on the conversation I had with my ladies. So my previous video, it was on relationships and it was with my two awesome best friends. So yeah, we are actually continuing that conversation today. But just before I continue, if you do or if you did miss that conversation on relationships with my ladies, I will put a link in the description box below. So today I'm joined by two of my dear friends. They're also my best friends. That's why I have them here. I like people that are going to be free when talking about such conversations, such topics rather. So picking on friends is actually great, put them on the spot. But so here we have Ryan and Delfino, and they will be sharing with us the guys' perspectives on relationships. So this is, like I said earlier, it's a continuation. So the previous video was really just from the ladies' perspective, but still on relationships. So yeah, I'm going to ask Ryan and Delfina the very, very same questions I asked Rafile and Zuki on the previous video. So yeah, Ryan and Delfina, thank you so much for your time and finally making it to Amma and Peeps. I truly appreciate you joining me for this important topic, I must say. Welcome to Amma and Peeps.
Thanks for the invite, Emma. Look forward to the conversation ahead.
Great, awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having it. This was a long time coming, by the way. I've been waiting for my invite.
I know. That's why I indicated it. I was like, they're finally here. Because yes, I've been wanting to have you, and I'm glad I could finally invite you and you can create the time. So yeah, it really means a lot. And I hope also the audience will enjoy your thoughts. I know both of you are very you're very opinionated about such topics, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts about this. So yeah, without wasting any time, I have my first questions. Like I said, it's going to be the same questions that I asked the ladies on relationships, and I'm so curious, and I'm sure the audience is also very curious to hear what the guys think. But also a disclaimer, which we'll also put on this video, is that this is just based on your opinion. So it doesn't necessarily mean that this is like a generic thing. It's based on your observations, maybe even your experiences. But yeah, so people shouldn't think we're just doing a whole one size fits all here, but it's just really just personal opinions. So what do you guys think? Do you think there is an ideal relationship? Is there such a thing as an ideal relationship?
I'll start on this one, and I'll like to hear Delfino's views as well. But from my perspective, truly, the answer to that is no. There's no such thing as an ideal relationship. Everyone would like to believe that there is such thing as an ideal relationship. It's from my perspective, it's one of those things where you get to a point where you learn how to live with someone that you really like, and you make the choice to be able, or you make the choice to want to live with that person, and you make the choice to want to spend the rest of your life with that specific individual. But in terms of like idealities and all of that, I mean, that's why the term ideal is there, right? It's what you would like to achieve, but you're never going to ever get there. But I mean, to just take a step back on your question, and maybe jumping the gun here a little bit for what you are gonna be asking down the line, what men would typically want from a relationship, that's a different bucket and it's a different question. But there isn't necessarily, like, let's just say, like an ideal that we'd all be chasing at the same time, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Okay, I think you have the opportunity to unpack this later on, Ryan. Yeah. Yep. So, but yeah, thanks a lot for just making it clear there that, okay, there's no such thing as an ideal relationship. But let's hear what Delfino thinks.
I don't know if I should go after Ryan every time. I think you're putting me under pressure, Ryan. Dropping the bombs of wisdom there, but listen, so I will have to disagree with Ryan, and I think with the ladies, okay? But I think I'm disagreeing on technicalities. So
okay, so you did watch the ladies' perspective, I would assume.
Yes, I watched the ladies' perspective, and from their perspective, they said, agree with Ryan that there's no ideal relationship.
Yeah.
I think there is. I think there is. The ideal relationship for me is about the outcome. The ideal relationship is about the individuals that are coming together Are the two people, one, compatible together? Are they building each other and building together? For me, I think the outcome, there's an ideal result from a relationship. But to box things and people to say this is the ideal type of relationship, that's not true. That won't happen. But I think there's an ideal outcome of relationships. So that's me arguing on technicalities.
Okay, I get what you mean. So it's about the outcome and also based maybe on the two people, their kind of ideal, what they would like to see as an ideal outcome as individuals, right? So this may differ with couples, right? But there's no the generic one of saying this is the ideal relationship. We can't have the generic one, but we have the outcome based on couples. Okay, I get what you mean, and I like the way you're putting it out there, and I feel like it also kind of came out from the ladies' perspectives, although it was not on this questions of ideal, but it was also about what works for two people and what two people would like to see in this relationship. So kind of links there. But thanks for throwing that out. And I think I'll just go to number 2, unless Ryan wants to add something. But I'm like anxious to open up a whole debate here. But do you have something burning you want to say on this before we move on, Ryan? Just to add, oh, you good? We can move on.
No, we definitely good. Let's just move on to the next point. I definitely do agree with Delfino's points around just looking at the outcome of the individuals. That definitely makes quite a lot of sense. And it's part of the broad brush that I was trying to also paint as well from my end. But I don't want to jump the gun here, and I just want you to go ahead in terms of your questions.
Okay, great. I'm so excited. So it's starting to get really hot in here. I think I should open the windows. But okay, so this thing that I always want to find out, because in my group, my circle, the kind of ladies that I deal with, most of them, they're so independent, and we always try to find out, are men intimidated by the so-called independent women, and also if maybe they are, maybe you could also elaborate, why is this the case?
You're gonna go first, Ryan. I'm afraid if I go after you, you're gonna confuse me. let me take a jab at it, right? I think the answer is no. Men are not intimidated by independent women. The type of men that is strong enough, that is also independent, that is also looking at building with somebody, would not be intimidated by an independent woman. I mean, who doesn't want a partner that they can build with? Somebody that can challenge them, that can make them better, that you can debate at an equal level about things of life, what you guys want to achieve together. I think if one is intimidated by the independence of the woman, I think there's a problem with the guy. That's not wanting to be challenged. That's wanting to take the easy way out of life. But for me personally, I would rather have somebody who we can, go toe to toe to build together. That's a stronger team. For me, when I build teams, I look for the strongest people that are even smarter than I am.
Yeah.
So that when we build things that are bigger than what I could do as an individual. Yeah. But I think the deeper level to that, if I can just extend further on my thinking, is that I think one of the things that has happened in the world or in society is that we have empowered the woman and we have left the man or the boy child almost disempowered, with a low self-esteem, with the confusion of what their place is. Hence, you have men that are actually still frightened and challenged by this empowered woman, because the man isn't empowered enough to deal with their own life, with their own challenges. So when this person comes, you kind of lose focus, you lose your center. Because you are disempowered. So I think that's a conversation we can unpack it at another stage, another level.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like your first point there, where you indicated that it's also about, the man himself. If he is intimidated, it means, okay, something is wrong. So maybe also he's that kind of a guy who he's not at the level, or at least trying to be at the level of the lady. So he kind of feels like, no, that's scary things. I'm not going to keep up. So then he just feels like, oh, she's going to be a man in this relationship, because maybe it's also just about his own beliefs, and he feels like, oh, that's just too much for me. So I see it's also about what do you want for yourself? You feel like this is good for me. I'm in for it. I'm going to grow with this person. I'll learn, So yeah, it's also about person's thinking. Ryan, what do you think?
Well, from my perspective, it's not going to be as contentious, Delfino, no, Petunia. The short answer to your question from my end is no. And that's from my perspective and obviously the perspective of my circle. But I can't necessarily say that, my specific rule is my specific rule is the exception to what's happening, within a broader scope of things. It's very difficult to say whether it's yes or no for the broad bunch of men out there. But I can just give you my own opinion, and from my perspective is that, again, look, I feel very, I would say, even empowered if a woman is independent, because it gives me the ability to be able to speak with her at a very high level with regards to things, and she's able to obviously communicate herself in terms of just what she wants to achieve in life, all of her ideals, etc. And we're able to get to a sort of intellectual standard in terms of the relationship. There would be the other side of it, where I would say maybe this would apply to the broad majority of men, where it's all about where value is obtained from the opposite sex, right? So for the broad bunch, or for the broad majority of men out there, from a value perspective, what is it that men actually seek from women, right? It's the normal stuff, right? Femininity, softness, a certain degree of nurturing personality, and the ability to be able to build a home, and be be a nice wife within a home, right? That's what the majority of men seek, right? And if we live in a very much of a modernized society right now, where, as you say, there's lots of independent women out there, and they've neglected that side of that value equation, call it. And I wouldn't necessarily say that's equated to men being intimidated by women that are independent, but it's led to men just, trying to find out where it is that they can play a role in terms of that value chain, because traditionally,
the women are filling that role.
Yeah, because the women are traditionally now filling that role, or not traditionally, but on a modernist set now starting to fill that role. So, and what men used to obviously do in the more traditional sense is they used to be the protectors and the providers, etc. And that's an evolving role that's changing over time. And what I would say is that the men that are feeling intimidated by it, I wouldn't necessarily say are feeling intimidated by it, but they're kind of in a position where they're trying to determine where is it that they fit into that whole value equation. And in that might project and portray itself as some kind of intimidation or insecurity.
I see. Makes sense. It's spot on there. And so maybe I think this also came out from the ladies' perspectives, where they indicated that that's why communication is important in a relationship, So if maybe such men are like confused, or they're not sure what their role is, because she has it all, she can provide, she can do all those things, then that means, where do I fit in, like you said? And now communication comes in. It's also now about, okay, what would you like to establish from this relationship? What is the outcome, like Delphine indicated earlier on? So it's also maybe then the solution there could just be sit down, communicate, and see what we can get from this thing, if one is say independent. But okay, I don't want to be on this question forever, but yeah. So I'll go to the next question. This one is about finances, and when you talk about finances in relationship, it's always like, oh, because I know how finances can be can build a relationship or can break a relationship. So finances have a huge power in relationship. So my question is, does it matter how much your partner earns? Or all we need really is just about how we feel about each other. We don't really care how much one earns, it doesn't really matter. As long as we feel so great about each other, we in it. Doesn't matter about how much one earns, or does it really matter? What are your thoughts?
Very interesting. Um, I think money matters in a relationship. So I think I haven't looked at what research looks like, but from my own live research from people, most of the fights in relationships are money related. Uh, it starts from the money, and if there isn't enough money, the fights are going to be a lot more. So I think money is important in a relationship, uh, but also there should be the ability to live within the means, right, for both sides. So if the two of us we're saying this is our life, this is where we are, and the two of us agree that we see a potential, we see that in 5 years down the line, you might not have enough money right now, but in 5 years down the line, there's going to be potential, there's growth. Where I have an issue is people that then settle with somebody who doesn't have the ambition. It's like, I love you because you've got a six pack, or you're a yellow bone like me. Uh, but like, where is the future? Is there growth? Is there potential for money for us to build something significant and sustainable for our family? I think that's where people miss it. But also at the same time, I feel there is an expectation. Generally, man's role, prehistoric, has been to protect, to provide, and procreate. And that
Precise.
providing, right? That providing part is an essential part. But like what Ryan was talking about, if then I can't provide, does that make me less of a man? And from a self-esteem perspective, I think society has put pressure on the men to say
Yeah.
if you don't have an income, because your value or your importantness or your manhood is kind of measured by the zeros on your income statement, on your bank balance. That's how you're measured. So if there is no money, does that make me less of a man? And I think that that's from a man's perspective. But from a woman's perspective, there is also this expectation of if he doesn't have money, then definitely there is nothing that I'm going to do with him. But is that a fair position? Are we not objectifying the man from a financial perspective? So
Yeah.
I'm just putting in that question for the ladies, the AMA ladies, because I would love to really know: are we not objectifying the men's income and saying if he doesn't have money, then I'm not going to be there? It's the same way that women have a problem with men objectifying them from a sexual perspective. Women
Yeah.
also objectify men from a financial perspective.
I see. Oh my word. Okay, I'm not gonna say anything here. Ryan, what are
Words,
your
words,
thoughts?
those are words of wisdom there, Delphino, words of wisdom. And it's that reciprocal type of, value equation that needs to be thought about as well. So from
Yeah.
my perspective, to answer your question directly, 100% money is absolutely critical in a relationship. But from the men's perspective, and I'm speaking for myself here, I, I, I could really not care less how much my female counterpart earns, because again, you and I grew up in very similar environments, or not necessarily grew up entirely, but we grew up in very similar families where our, our pretty much our patriarchs were definitely the providers of the family. It was expected, and it was something that was effectively told to you as a kid growing up that, one day you're going to have a family of your own and you're going to have to provide. There's a likelihood that your wife is going to work, right? And she's probably going to earn more than you. But ultimately, the onus and the responsibility of the household's finances lie on you as the man of the house. So that's why for myself, I can say that it doesn't really matter for me, because in terms of my lifestyle and my life plans, I always expect to plan for family. In terms of my budget, I plan for family. Necessary versus, necessarily just planning for myself. But it could also be the other end of the spectrum where there'll be some men out there where it would be absolutely critical for them to have somebody who's like equal from a financial perspective to contribute to the pot as much as they contribute to the pot. But like to jump forward from my perspective, again, there's a lot of considerations that I need to think about. I need to think about the fact that, oh, hold on a second, my wife could get pregnant in the next 2 months, and that leaves her 9 months pretty much, very vulnerable, and potentially after that there could be complications from the pregnancy. Touch wood, we don't want any of those things happening, right? And I need to think that, okay, if that type of stuff happens and she's out of action from a work perspective, I need to be able to be there and hold this family. Otherwise, it's sort of like, I'm trying to give a good analogy here. Like, from that perspective, I don't. Let's say you have a chair. A chair has four legs on it, right?
Yeah.
I don't want it to be in a situation where right now, if my wife is out of action, three legs of the chair go off. Then that whole thing is in trouble,
There's no balance.
And exactly. So then it also talks to some of the aspects that Delfina was speaking about earlier on in terms of, communicating, being able to plan these things forward and being able to see, do I have the same type of mindset as this person? And in terms of forecasts of our lives and planning our lives going forward, does this person have any type of ambition?
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. But I mean, I'm not gonna like say go on a first date or something and be like, okay, are you earning X amount next? No,
I know. Okay, so I just want to link your 2 points. You both mentioned 2 points that I just want to link them there because I kind of feel like there's a problem somewhere, and I just want to hear maybe you can have a solution, the both of you, still on the very same question. So, Ryan, you mentioned that you may have a situation where the female partner is earning slightly more than the male partner. But then as a male, Ryan, you indicated that because you're a man, you still need to kind of foresee and oversee the financial issues and the budgeting in the household. Okay, so hold on. So that's the thing. But now the wife is earning more, but you earning less, but you still oversee the finances. I don't know how the wife is going to feel about that if now she's bringing more, but then you kind of decide on what goes where, what with her monies, right? But now, Delfino, you also then indicating now, I just want to link your point, Delfino, where you mentioned that it is society. In society, there's this, expectation that as a man, you need to provide, So now, how will that guy or that man, for the husband rather, feel when he knows that, okay, there's this society thing that he needs to provide, but he can't provide as much because he earns less. And now the wife is providing, but at the same time, he needs to oversee the financial situations like Ryan indicated. So what do we do with such a situation? His feelings, and also the wife, how is she going to be feeling as well, just regarding her finances or her money is being, dictated by someone who's not earning them. I don't know. What is the solution here? What do we do in such a situation?
Yeah, just to dovetail that, because you mentioned the point that I mentioned earlier on. So, I mean, the utmost thing that needs to be defined from the beginning of any type of, like serious commitment like that, where now finances are getting involved, is that you've got to establish the fact that the both of you guys are a team. You're not necessarily looking at segregated incomes here or anything like that. I mean, if one person is earning 50K and the other person is earning 150K, we're not looking at each other's segregated incomes. We're looking at it from a partnership perspective, right? That's what we're thinking about. But to take it a step further to what I was saying is that from my perspective, and not from all men perspective, right, is that if you're in that type of situation where that joint income base is like what I said it was, right? And there's a fixed overhead base to cover. Myself, I need to know that, Ryan, in the next X amount of years, before your wife gets pregnant, you need to somehow find a way to be able to cover those fixed overheads, right? Just in the event that there's anything that goes wrong going forward, that you need to know that you're there to be able to, just to be there for your wife, It's not like she's going to be completely out of action, because that's a very far-fetched situation that I painted. But the reality is that, my role in that situation is just making sure that, she and my family is covered from that perspective. But in the non so far-fetched situation, of course, we need to look at it from a team perspective here, Petunia. We need to look at it like, look, of course, I'm not bringing the bacon here, and you are. But from a consolidated perspective, how do we actually move forward here?
Ryan.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with Brian that it's not necessarily that the man is responsible for the finances. When it's a serious relationship, it's not mjolo and you guys not messing around. Uh, then definitely it's a teamwork. You guys sit, you budget together, you understand your expenditure. The other is earning how much we're spending on X and Y. That's the theoretical position, and that's the correct way of doing it. That's the
Yeah.
correct way of doing it. But I think there is a reality that we also need to talk about. I'll speak on behalf, or not on behalf of men. I don't. I'm not in a position to speak on behalf of men. I'll I'll speak from a man's perspective, and there's also the women's perspective. Maybe let me start from the women's perspective. Generally, what we have seen is where a man has lost their income. This is not everybody. Where a man has lost their income, there's been instability in that relationship. I think there's the point that I was making earlier, that there's this psyche of the man is a man because of how much he's bringing to the table. And the moment that this guy is not bringing in that 100K a month, it's like there's uh
Yeah.
you kind of belittle the man. In
Yeah.
maybe you don't say it directly, maybe you are not aggressive about it. There are people who are aggressive about it, like you're not a man enough, wash the dishes, hey, feed the kids, you're not bringing any income anyway. Some things are said directly, but there's also like, Haibo, how did you go and subscribe for DSTV full bouquet yet you're not bringing any money? you know
Yeah.
those type of things that belittle the man and his self-esteem. And I think it's important that, from a woman's perspective, how do we handle that situation? I think it's an
Mm,
introspective position of, if really this guy has lost income, unemployed, it's now a
mm,
reality in the country, in the economy. How am I going to respond? How do I still see him as the
mm.
man in my life, or that kind of evaporates with the income? And
Wow.
then introspectively, from a man's position as well, I think we have seen a lot of depression. People take to the bottle, they become alcoholics because they have lost income. Because it's like, I've always seen myself
Yeah.
as a man because I was bringing bacon to the table. And like what Ryan was saying, a solid man is going to plan for rainy days, going to plan for wife goes sick, etc. But if I can't do that, does that make me less of a husband? Is there any other aspect I can be there? Is there action that I can be taking
Yeah.
for me to still remain the man in your life and in the family?
Yeah.
And I think we need to be asking and answering those questions, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. You raise very critical points right there. And I think it also now goes back to what were actually your reasoning for getting into this relationship. Were you now loving him for just the monies? Because now it will come off, now the fact that you maybe were just loving him for the money, the moment he loses his job and then you start questioning, his manhood, then now that's where we start seeing, oh, this one was probably just in it for the monies. Because I feel like this is not just coming in as a lady, that I feel like if I really love that someone and it has nothing to do with the monies, if they become unemployed, and I will still just be there and find what could be his role, and that could still
Mm.
be a man. I mean, there's so many things that happen in relationship, and there's so many responsibilities that needs to be taken care of. And I'm sure you could do something that won't make him less of a man. But anyway, this is also
Just
depending on different ladies. Yes, Ryan, you want to say something?
sorry, I'd like to open the floor to debate specifically for something that Delfino mentioned earlier on around how women perceive someone in a relationship that has quote unquote lost their income. They start having those feelings of, or not feelings, but just projections of saying, you're no longer good enough, etc. There was that kind of stuff that was alluded to. And I guess what I would like to open up to is just to ask the question around, is that a what an effect of something genetical, right? Or is that just modern versus traditional type of debate? Because in my mind, something like that always for my personal studies as well, it always goes back to the genetical debate, right? Women are always are going to seek the best option, right? And the moment that you don't sort of see yourself in that bubble, or the moment she doesn't see you in that bubble anymore, is the moment everything's going to break down. It doesn't matter what you do. It's not even like a mindset shift or anything like that. It's something that's imbued in the gene so that a woman can say that, look, is this someone that I'm able to procreate with? Is this somebody that's going to be able to take care of my offspring? Is this somebody that's going to be able to take care of my family? And that feeling of, that feeling of doubt starts to come out, and it starts to project itself in, the DSTV subscriptions, for example. Look, I'm in the middle about it, but it's always tended more towards the genetic thing that it's not going to be able to get solved through talking and through all of this kind of stuff. It is, and it will always be kind of in my mind.
Yeah, then that means we have a problem.
Can I just quote Ryan? 2022 in November. What month are we in? Are we in October?
October
the 16th. The 16th.
October the 16th. Women will always choose the better option. Boom, boom, boom.
Okay, guys, we gotta move on. This is getting hard, and I wish we can stay on this for longer because it's so interesting. But yeah, but I just want to say it means that we have a problem if women will always choose the best option. Then we have a problem because we don't have so many men in the world. And the few that we have, I mean, statistically speaking, we have more women than men. So from those few men that we already have, not all of them are the best, And if all the women, so many women we have, they all want the best, there's a problem. And this kind of touches on the conversation I had with Justin. I'm going to put the link to that video in the description below. Definitely check it out. I'll also put it in the cards. I think it's worth checking out because it kind of touches on what Ryan is mentioning here, but women always choosing the best man. But okay, so moving on to the next question. What are your thoughts about men? It can even be women, that cheat on their partners. What are your thoughts about this cheating issue? It's a big topic.
For me, cancel. I don't think there's a question and a debate around it. Infidelity is one of the worst things that has happened in our society, and we have normalized it. And I think we have a big problem because people like now willy-nilly jump from relationship to the other, like they're changing network providers. I think it's unfair on the other person, and I think it's really just showing you as an individual that you have issues that you haven't dealt with. There's a deeper either insecurity, self-esteem issues that need to be fixed with you. And for me, infidelity, cheating, cancel culture. Yeah, I support cancel culture.
I like that. Ryan, I like that.
No comment from my end. You know my views on this one.
Yeah, I do. And if you're not thinking, then we'll be here the whole day.
so on this specific topic, personally, I tend to agree with what Delfino is saying. Cheating should be, it should be a non-starter kind of thing. And it should actually be illegal, basically, and people should not cheat on each other. 100%.
It should be illegal. I like that. It should be criminalized.
However, big caveat. It's all about perception here. And we've spoken about this before, right? What is cheating to the opposite sex, right? From a man's perspective, his woman is cheating if she's obviously being adulterous, right? And from a female's perspective, it's tended to be the same in recent days, but I would think of it a little bit differently. Being a man, I would think about it as if my man were to be spending money on somebody else, that's a big form of cheating, as opposed to the actual adulterous act of cheating. And the reason I say that is because from my understanding of, just evolution and etc. and all of this kind of stuff, is that men are genetically polygamous. No matter how you want to put it, men could. It doesn't matter. You can even look at it the year 2300, the year 19,000. Men are genetically polygamous the same way that women are genetically hypergamous, right? And a man going out of marriage, unless he's actually, devoting and protecting and providing for another woman, in my perspective, that's cheating. And the inverse for a woman, in the sense that, if a woman actually goes out and is adulterous with another man outside of a relationship, that's cheating. But again, from both sides of my spectrum, looking at it from me personally, I consider all forms of adultery cheating. However, there are some men out there that, and their women do understand the fact that, look, just because my man is going out and being adulterous with someone else doesn't necessarily mean that he's cheating on me. It just means that, he just needs something else done outside of the relationship. And maybe that does speak to the guy's discipline and, his ability to hold his sexual urges. But I mean, it's for me, it's a perception thing, and that's why I think it's easy to speak from my perspective to say that, look, I would deem it illegal, but there's different cultural practices out there, and
Okay.
people do things differently. So I can't speak for the bulk majority of men.
Of course. Okay, got it. Spot on, spot on. Dee, you wanted to say something? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's the polygamy, right? Which I think culturally there's a process to taking a second, third wife. And I know traditionally in the long before, actually as the husband, you'd go to the first wife and she had to give the blessing to say, right, you can bring second wife. I can see you refusing, but at some point, these things in a different culture, these things are acceptable. I think it's about the communication, and some people say, this is how we're going to do it. This is our arrangement. This is our cultural position. If that's you, that's fine. But people have to be agreeing. For me, the cheating is when you are, like, I think Ryan was spot on in saying, even spending on another human being. There might not be any sexual exchanges, but just spending on another person without your significant other knowing, or even, entertaining the other person. It could be small little flirts on chat. That is infidelity.
Yeah.
But I love what Ryan was talking about in terms of the polygamy system. But there is a process and cultural direction around that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like that. Absolutely. Because the other party knows, right? So it can't be cheating, because the other party is giving their blessing and they're quite aware. Exactly. Okay, Ryan, you want to say something before we go to
It's going to be very quick because I know we're time constrained here, but I just like to put something out there just before we close this topic, just in terms of, just what we're talking about in terms of polygamy process, etc. Just think about it from this perspective. And I'm going to be very vulgar in saying this, but when a man ejaculates, basically, he releases so much viable sperm out there that, that's enough to create pretty much a mini colony, right? Compared to the opposite side of the spectrum, where when a woman, receives that sperm and she can just fertilize one egg, she can just have one child and she's pretty much out of action for 9 months, right? A man can do that ejaculation process every single day of the year, right?
4 times, 5 times a day.
Exactly, right? So, I mean, I'm just trying to just get it from the perspective of the other, or the majority of men that are not me and Delfino right now. Just trying to understand their perspective to say, look, maybe they have a need where they don't have enough discipline around themselves, which is a separate issue that needs to be fulfilled, that, that the wife is not enough to fulfill, it's just me trying to understand those broad majority of people as opposed to implementing it on myself.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to see what the comments will be like. I really hope people are going to make some comments on this because this is really, really interesting. But yeah, if you have thoughts or anything and you are watching, just leave a comment below. Okay, now we're gonna move to the next question. This I feel like maybe we kind of touched on it a bit, but maybe we can just be a brief. We can just be brief on this about, I'm going to be a bit informal as well. Are men able to let your skirt pass, like to let your skirt pass? I think we kind of touched on it, but let's see just quickly. Do men have the ability to let your skirt pass or whatever that they see? Okay, I would understand maybe they do look because perhaps they are visual, I don't know, but it's about what they do, about looking. I think we touched also, I mean, this was also explained nicely by the ladies on the ladies' perspectives, but what are your thoughts on this?
My wife is gonna watch this video, so Ryan,
So you
please,
gotta be careful. Ryan. Okay.
Ryan saved me.
No, D, you want to say something? Just be careful. Know that your wife is watching. So what are your thoughts quickly?
I think yes, they are. Ryan was speaking on it about the discipline. I think there is the discipline. Women are absolutely, African women are gorgeous. They are extra voluptuous. God made them on a Sunday. He was chilled when he made African women, especially my wife, caramelized African queen. Yeah. I'm just putting it out there just in case she gets angry. But
I like it. I like it.
To your gorgeous wife.
Yes, but I think there's a difference between looking and just letting a person pass. Enjoy God's creation; it's beautiful. But what you then do after that, are you going to entertain? Are you going to pursue? If you are in a serious relationship, then that becomes what we're talking about. Then that's cheating. Men can do that, but I think we have also there's the urge, which is biological, that Ryan was talking about, which is the testosterone. If you don't control that urge, which is what makes a man strong, the ability to control that urge, that testosterone that drives you. If you can't control it, then you're going to run yourself into problems.
Spot on. Absolutely, Ryan.
For this one, I must admit, Virginia, I didn't really understand that question. What does that actually mean? Let the skirt pass. I don't want to act like I know what that actually means before I answer the question.
No, that's correct. No, we just mean by this is that when men look at the ladies on the street, do they, especially the guys that perhaps are in a relationship, do they just say, okay, we're gonna look, but we're gonna just leave it like that because I'm with someone, or we're gonna look, but because it's so tempting, maybe I can just talk to her and see what one thing will lead to the other, or see what will happen. I'm interested because it's so appetizing. So do they have the ability to say, hold on, no, this is not mine, I have someone? Or do they feel like, in as much as I have someone, but this is great, let's try it out, let's see what's what, maybe it's better than mine, something like that. Yeah.
I echo Delfino's thoughts on that one. I think that men can look without having to, indulge necessarily. It's not necessarily going to be a case of, guys chasing every single skirt that they think is attractive just for the sake of doing it, and cheating on what is something solid on the side, or cheating on something very solid on the side. But again, I'll then relay on the opposite end to what I just mentioned earlier on, in the sense that men are very, very strong from a testosterone perspective, and it's a thing that's innate in them, to be able to try and reproduce with as many people as possible. It's obviously been tamed through time and through modernization of humans, but I mean, if we were to talk like 150, 200 years ago, it would be impossible for men to let the skirt pass. But
Yeah.
obviously now with modernization, etc., and people's time being devoted to a bunch of different other things, it's not. I wouldn't say if a guy is married or is in a committed relationship, he's now going to go and actually go execute on every single skirt that he comes across, or on any skirt at all. You just look at
Yeah.
the skirt.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Got it. Okay. Now I'm also looking at the tab now. We still have a couple of questions to go through, but I will try and not ask anything that I feel like maybe we kind of touched on it or it's a repetition. But this one, I hope I'll try and explain it as clear as clear as I possibly can. But it's a bit tricky. And I have this question on because I had a conversation with this other guy the other day. He was saying that he feels like ladies use sex as a weapon. He feels like they use it to punish guys, so maybe if they're angry or if a lady is angry at her partner, she would just not give him sex, for a long period of time, because for her she feels like sex it's very meaningful, and there's just so much that happens with it, so he feels like using that as a punishment, it can work. But then he was also saying, this guy, he was saying that for guys, they don't really look at sex as something that is worth using as a punishment, because for them they don't really link sex with with a lot of feelings. I think it kind of depends whether they're cheating or not. I don't know, but I think he was just trying to say that guys have the ability to just have sex and not really catch any feelings. I think this is what he was trying to get, is that they can use sex and not catch feelings, but with ladies, whether it's with with sex, when it comes to ladies, they do catch feelings, so there's that difference there. So my question was, what does sex mean in relationship for men and women? Does it mean different things? Maybe you guys can tell us from your perspectives, what does it mean for you guys, because the ladies kind of shared their views as well on what this means. I hope I tried to explain this, and I hope I'm not confusing anybody, but yeah.
So, from my perspective on this one, Petunia, it's from a man's perspective, and I think I'm probably going to get opposite views on this, but sex is as important as food and water. If a man doesn't get that out of a relationship, sorry, it looked like you paused there for a second. If a man doesn't get that out, if a man doesn't get that out of a relationship, for him it's like, okay, he needs to go seek it somewhere else, and that's a lot of the root causes of cheating out there. By the way. Now, and it's also like that whole debate of weaponizing, etc. I mean, I think I'm also going to be a bit biased on this in terms of recent relationships from my end, but I do see it as quite a trend, and it's quite a concerning one. And it tends to achieve the opposite result in most cases, where you think that you're going to, get control over someone because of something that's so knee deep and important to them, by denying them of it, that you completely forget that the guys or the person's needs are not being met, and as a result of their needs not being met, they go outside, right, and they go get their needs get met by someone else, because it's this critical thing to them. It's not like it's just not like anything to them. You know what I mean? So yeah, I guess that's my perspective in a nutshell. And I mean, there was something else that I wanted to say, but it's just slipped my mind. Let me just let Delfino just to say his thoughts, and maybe I could just dovetail off that.
I read a meme the other time that says a relationship is like an ironing board, slightly rated 18. If you don't open your legs, it doesn't work. Um, so I definitely echo Ryan's sentiment around men's perspective with sex. Men's sex is up there. Food, oxygen,
You guys.
life. Every single day, multiple times a day. A man's desire, the urge has to be there. And if that is not getting fulfilled, then there's a problem. I actually think maybe women don't actually realize this. they think we're joking and we're making jokes out of it. Like a man can have sex more than 5 times in a day and be completely normal. And the need of a man is like, but we just had sex now. But yeah, now is, it's a different time. What happened before is gone. So I think it's a really big priority for men, hormonal driven. It's an urge that is there. It's an urge that requires, if you are in a monogamous relationship, then the intention is then that fulfillment has to come from that individual. And unfortunately, sometimes then there's a problem of sexual incompatibility because the other party's sex drive might not be the same as the other party's sex drive. And I think that's a problem. Those are some of the things that actually, as you start the relationship, we need to understand. Because if I am on 5 times a day, you are in 5 times in a month.
Yeah.
What's happening the other time?
Yeah.
Big problem. Yeah, I will not go further because I'm very, very passionate about this part.
Oh wow, this is amazing. I like it. Yeah, no, you guys are so right, So we need compatibility. Now that means before we even start anything or before we even think of long-term relationship, we're gonna check the compatibility because otherwise we're gonna have issues. Okay, I like that. That's perfect. Okay, so now I feel like we kind of already have an idea really of the basic things that men and women want, maybe to be happy, to have a healthy and long-lasting relationship. I feel like we have a basic understanding, but maybe, or basic idea rather, but maybe just quickly, this shouldn't be long. Perhaps you guys can just list, from your perspectives, what do you think are the basic things that, maybe I could say couples want to have a happy, healthy, and long-lasting relationship. I see Ryan. Ryan, what's going on? Is that linked to what I'm asking or is something else?
Exactly. It's linked to what you're asking, but you can take the couple out and you can put the man in there. What do men want from relationships? And it's going back to that first question you asked around ideality. To be direct, goes down to the 3 S's for me. We've spoken about it before: sex, language, and silence. If I have the 3 of those, I'll be the most happiest man alive. I won't even cheat on you. And I will do what I need to do all the way to the grave.
Got it. Nice and sweet. God, D. Are you also on the 3 S?
I definitely agree. Definitely agree.
Okay. Great.
6 very, very high. But I think also just also to add, you might just think I'm a clown. Just to add, I think in a relationship from a man's perspective as well, there is need. Men need support. Like men are emotionally don't have the ability to process emotional complex things. Our ability to process emotional things is not great, and a woman's ability to also get people to, or a husband or a boyfriend to deal with emotions, that's a strong and an important role that a woman plays to support their husband, boyfriend, partner, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That emotional ability, that emotional strength person is essential.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. Wow. I really hope I wish we had like a whole day or even a whole week to talk about these things because there's just so much to unpack, but because of time, I see it's already 6:00 now, so we have 3 more questions left, so let's see how we'll do the time. I also just don't want to make these videos very long because people tend to get tired to watch like over an hour video. But okay, long distance relationships, do they work?
No.
No. Okay, why do you think they do not work, Delphina?
It's not sustainable. For me. Then the sex part, where does that happen?
You can sex on the phone, Delphina.
That's not the same. We're not kids anymore, guys.
But you can meet every 6 months, Delphina, when you can, and you can have it.
6 what?
What? What? Yo,
6
that,
what?
that is a push, eh? 6 months.
Oh.
Wow. Yo, 6 hours is pushing it, imagine.
Yeah. 6 hours. I can try. 6 hours I can try.
Hilarious. Okay, we now we get they don't work. In your opinion, long distance they don't work, and you have valid reasons. Ryan, what do you think?
My answer is no as well, and mine comes from experience. I've tried it before, and it's just there's the technicalities around it or outweigh the ideals behind it. It's difficult to be with someone and not be with them at the same time. I don't know if that's coming across and making any sense. Like just very small little things. You come back home from work and the person is not there. It's fine for a week or two, but and this is not just from a sex perspective. It's just from them just being around. It's extremely difficult and impractical for it to happen in reality. And obviously, from a male's perspective, depending on the city he lives in, he's surrounded by and has so many optionality around him that if you must think about it, if his main thing that he wants, his need is sex, right? And he needs to release himself, and he's got so much optionality around him, but his woman has been in California for the last 8 months. It's going to be very difficult for him to maintain his level of sexual discipline, which obviously then acts as like a house of cards in terms of that entire relationship. So in a nutshell, the answer is no. It's impractical.
Absolutely, and I like the way that I like also that you are speaking from experience and you have experience in it, and you actually so that it doesn't work. And yeah, so this is great. So those who are in long distance relationship, we're not just trying to discourage you, but we also just want you to just look at the practicalities around it. But yeah, there was a different perspective on this from the latest video. So yeah, if you are watching this and you haven't watched the latest video, make sure you watch that. and yeah, so now here's another question. I guess this is also it depends on individuals really. Is life better single or in a relationship?
In a relationship.
I mean, you are married, so you can't say anything else, D. But yeah,
but for the reasons stated above, scroll back 30 seconds.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I think it's a very difficult thing to actually, like, I think as you grow, as you begin to kind of pursue yourself, your purpose, I think it's always great to have a team, and the most important person you can have is a wife or a husband. And I think when you have that person that supports you, you work together to achieve things. I'd rather be with my wife because I've been married for 3 years now, almost 4. And the things I've done in the short space of time that we've been married, I hadn't been able to do in a very long time because I've got a person right next to me.
Amazing. Wow. Kudos. That's lovely. That's really lovely. It's inspiring as well for those who are single. Okay, Ryan.
That's very inspiring, Delphino. I hope to get there one day. So I'm recently single, to give everyone a bit of context. Not trying to matchmake on the channel or anything like that.
Ryan, wait. What? You just say you recent. Wait, what?
I'm recently single. Like 3 weeks of single. So after like a year and a half. So I think I've got a good in between as well, and I've been single as well, and I'm fairly young too. So I'm not saying Delphino's old, by the way. No, look. I've been obviously on both sides of it in quite a recent time, and I can definitely say that it's much better to be as part of a unit, and I think more Black people should aspire to, not these lives of solidarity and living on their own, because ultimately, we've spoken about this before, Petunia, in terms of building Black communities, building Black industries, building Black networks. It's impossible to do that stuff on your own. And I think the non-selfish thing to do is always to, get with someone, build something together. You also have the benefit of the economies of scale, from a cost perspective, like when you go grocery shopping, etc. And I just think, obviously, there's that last bit as well, the companionship bit, which is super important. People always
Yeah.
people always sideline that stuff, but it's super, super important. And I mean, if we as a black people could just get together, and put our heads together and, like not just want to live in our own little bubbles, stop fighting with each other and get together. I think that's like, for me, that's the best thing. And that's why I'd always say, I don't vouch for black people to be on their own. Black people must be with other black people trying to build black communities.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Okay, so this is our last question. Yeah, but I wish this was not the last question because I'm really enjoying chatting to you guys. But how do you know if a guy truly wants to be with you or they just want to have sex with you? Is there a way of finding out? Maybe you guys can help us here as guys,
Are we allowed to say this according to the bro code, Ryan?
Yeah, this one's a contentious one. I read this question and I was like, yo, this one is tough, eh? This one is tough, eh? But I'll let you go first, and I'll let you break the code first, and then I'll do what I can. I'll try to dance around it, but yeah.
I see you playing very safe, Ryan. You playing very safe.
You see that? Like, at the men's conference, I'm going to be in a disciplinary hearing.
I like that.
Yeah, so I think when a guy is certain, I think men can be very assertive when we have seen the person that we have done our analysis, we have done that we want to be with this person. We're very clear, we're very intentional, we are consistent. There's really no, the people that ghost you for a couple of days, come back, when it's almost weekend. I think we are very clear about our intentions, and you know that this person, when they say what they are going to do, they would definitely do it, because usually when you know that this is what I want, you're a man of your word, unless you're playing around.
Yeah, true. Ryan?
I think that's all I can say. That will not incriminate me too much.
I think you're still safe.
I could have told you more, but I'll tell you not on YouTube.
Just so that you say, if you don't want to be incriminated, I like that. Okay,
Sure.
Ryan, what do you think?
You guys are going to get me disbarred from the Joburg men's conference, eh? At this rate. Delfino's dancing around it. Means that I'm going to have to go to the point on this one.
Let's see.
I'm doing for the benefit of your viewers here, but okay, I'm going to be disbarred for 5 years. Sorry, guys. But this is the message for all women out there. The default setting for all men is seeking sex. Single men, right? It's only if a man is ready and in the position to get into a committed relationship. Could either be when he's 23, 27, 33, whatever age, even 50. When a man is ready to settle down and sit down, whether he has sex with you on the first date or the 15th date, he's going to commit to you. It doesn't really matter. It's all about each stage being ready. But in my experience, I can say the default setting for any single man is it's always sex first. And obviously, over time, you learn what this type of person is this type of a person that you can actually live with. And from there, you take it on and you start to analyze them slowly but surely to see if this is the type of person that you can deal with over a long period of time. And even after all of those things have been ticked, it's all about, okay, am I even ready? Am I in a position? And guys are different. Guys are ready at different points in their life. Unfortunately, this is not a simple thing as just saying, oh no, I'm dating this 23-year-old or this 50-year-old, but he's not committed. Well, it is the case. That's it. And lastly, in closing on that topic, I think a man that's ready for commitment, even after he's done all the sex stuff with you, within a year he's gonna propose to you.
Within the year,
Or
he's gonna.
within a year he should propose to you
Oh,
if he's ready. If he's like, I'm just saying, if he's done his own internal work and he's done what he's needed to do in his life, within a year he should know whether or not you're the person for him, or less.
okay. Okay. I was still waiting for more. But yes,
You are definitely going to be in trouble, Ryan.
I know.
but no, we needed that. Thank you so much, Ryan. That helps a lot. But also maybe then let's say, okay, we are trying to give a timeline here. I like the timeline. Within a year or less, he should be able to propose. But obviously it can also depend. Maybe he must also state his intention to propose. Maybe he wants to, but maybe he can't. Because proposing also in terms of, you need to consider the finances and the whole,
Then he's not ready.
planning.
But then he's not ready.
No, hold on. What I mean is, what if he does state his intention to propose within a year or less, which kind of covers what you're saying. But then I'm just saying, in terms of the finances, maybe he's not ready because you propose that you need to buy a ring. Maybe he doesn't have the money to buy a ring. Does that mean he's not ready, although he wants to do it?
Yeah, that's fair enough. But then if that year then comes and then there's still nothing, then, I mean, because you don't need a fancy ring to propose. I mean, you can get a small little thing from somewhere and you can go to court to go get married. You don't have to have all these fancy
Did
things.
you talk about marriage? Wait, there's marriage and there's proposal. Within a year is proposal, not marriage. There's a difference.
Okay. With the proposal, even, he doesn't need, if he's truly ready to commit to someone, he doesn't need to go get the 100,000 Rand ring. He can go get the 2,000 Rand ring or the 5,000 Rand ring. And then later on, he can go get you the most expensive ring. But if a man is truly ready, he's going to want to bag someone down quickly. Or within a specific amount of time. He's not going to wait 10 years. 10 years is just like saying, you know what, honestly, like, I don't want to really do this, but I'm in this position and I've been stuck.
Yeah, makes sense. Fair enough. Okay, I see, Dolphin. Are you smiling? You're nodding. Are you happy? Do you want to say something?
I will plead the fifth. Yeah, no. Generally, like, I think Ryan has got a very good point. Like, you know, when the person you have spent a year with them, you kind of know that this is the direction I'm going. If not, then there's some questions still in his head, at least. But there's also the thing that the woman might be expecting, big proposal type of thing, and then you've had the conversation and she tells you she wants a proposal in a helicopter over Table Mountain. That's like 6,000 Rand, just for the helicopter. So you're thinking, maybe let me take 3 years, 5 years, Nyana, and then I get the money, maybe. So don't throw him away just yet. He wants to get you that good proposal.
Maybe he must also you could see maybe by the, I don't know, just intention, Yana. He needs to kind of give you the intention to propose, because now if he doesn't give the intention to propose, then, and it's over a year, people will be like, but Ryan said within a year. Ryan, you're getting people in trouble here.
I'm telling you now, Petunia, if the guy you've been dating, it's been longer than 2 years even, I just think now it's time to move on, baby girl.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So now, guys, this is the end of our conversation. It was really great talking to you both. I'm so glad I could finally have you here and that you could create the time. Thank you so much for the time. Your thoughts as well. Your thoughts, very, very, appreciated. I really hope that this will make a difference in people's lives or people's relationships, especially those seeking relationships or those already in relationships or those that are just interested in relationships, really. So yeah, if you guys have any questions for Delfino and Ryan, please leave them in the comment section below, or if you just want to say something about this topic. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and share, please share. And this is it, guys. Thank you so much. And it's been awesome having you guys. This is the end of the video, and we'll see everybody next time, and take care, and bye. Do you guys want to say something? We good?
I'm good. I'm married. So don't come to my inbox.
Do you want
I'm
us?
the opposite of Delfino. I'm unmarried. I'm recently single, and yeah,
They must come to your inbox.
yeah, slide in the DMs,
Then I could get you guys together, because like different worlds, one is married and one is recently single. So this was beautiful. Thank you guys.